Well, I think the family view is that they're angry that the search has been called off, and as far as they're concerned, this is unfinished business. Now, we've not heard from the police officially. We expect to a bit later this afternoon, but the family have shown me a letter they've had from the Metropolitan Police, the sum up is that it's the conclusion of a search that's been going on for Muriel's remains for the past 8 days. Muriel McKay was 55 in 1969, and she was kidnapped and held for ransom by two brothers, the Hussein brothers. They were very quickly identified, arrested, and stood trial at the Old Bailey, convicted of her murder, but it was one of the first murder prosecutions without a body. They went to jail for more than 20 years, but Muriel's remains were never found. And the search for the last 8 days, and a search 2 years ago, has concentrated on this farm in Hertfordshire, where search teams began looking last Monday, the second search in 2 years. But according to the Metropolitan Police, in a letter to the family in the last hour, that search has been called off without finding anything to connect it to Muriel McKay. I can read you an extract from the letter from Catherine Goodwin, who's the detective superintendent at the Met in overall charge of this operation, and she said this: "I am so sorry to say that the search has not been successful in finding Muriel's remains or any evidence relating to her kidnap and murder. I appreciate that this will be devastating for you, especially after all the work you have put in trying to find her. As you can imagine, there is a lot of detail in terms of the search which I can't set out here, so I will be happy to arrange a meeting later in the week to discuss in more detail." Now, I've spoken briefly to Mark Dyer, who's the grandson of Muriel McKay, and he is, to put it mildly, very unhappy. He describes this decision to call off the search as stupid, and the main contention of the family is that the police would not agree to bring over from his native Trinidad, where he was deported after his prison sentence, Nizam Hussein, one of the two brothers who was convicted of Muriel's murder. He, earlier this year, looking at old maps and photographs, pointed quite precisely to where he says he buried the body of Muriel McKay. The family say, how can you carry out a search like this without him there? He knows, and nobody else does, what he did with Muriel's body. But the police felt that in their conversations with the killer, that he'd been inconsistent with his information, and so they felt there was no need to bring him over to help in the search. In the last couple of hours, the family have tried to deliver a letter to the Commissioner at the Met, Sir Mark Rowley, asking him to intervene and seeing if he could persuade the Home Office to let this deported killer back to the UK. But it seems that last-ditch attempt was too late, and the search has been called off.